Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where experts in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Our first guest today is breathwork and life coach Christine Hart-Savage, and the topic we'll be discussing today is understanding overwhelm and sensitivity. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Megan. It's lovely to be here.
We're happy to have you, Christine. Christine, tell us a little bit about overwhelm and sensitivity. Do you have any personal experience with that?
I certainly have lots of personal experience with it. I've had a very interesting journey in my life with overwhelm, and it's been huge. So the first time I remember this feeling coming over me, I didn't know it was overwhelm and I didn't know it was sensitivity back then. Had no idea. I was actually very young. And I remember this feeling coming over me of confusion and thinking, I don't understand this world. Really did not understand this world from very young. And I was almost frightened of this world, because what I found is that people would be speaking certain words, saying one thing, and yet I was having this swirling feeling coming from, now I know, from the other person. But at that stage when I was younger, I thought it was me. And I would just feel always very, very confused within myself. And what I find is that sensitivity, there's a lot of sensitive people that don't know they're sensitive, but they really it brings up this feeling of fear and self-doubt within you, and you feel a bit rocked, like not steady and stable within yourself. So what I found over the years, in fact, it took me till my early 30s to actually work out what was mine and what was someone else's.
Right, so this was a feeling you recognised at that point.
Absolutely. I recognised it because I learnt to meditate and I learnt to breathe correctly. And when I was in those states of meditation, I felt really still and calm, incredibly calm inside. And then I'd go back out into the world. And if I met somebody who was really speaking one thing, feeling something else, I started to recognise, hang on, I was really stable a moment ago. Now I've got this swirling feeling happening within me that's uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. That's not mine. And I started to recognise that my energy, if you like, or my sensitivity was, and we all have this, was radiating out everywhere and picking up other people's feelings. That's what it is. You pick up the feelings in the atmosphere around you that people are emitting out into the world around us, basically. So I started to really look at this and look at people who were coming to see me as clients and with anxiety. And what I noticed is, I would say 99.9% of them are what I would call a sensitive. So when we're sensitive like that, there's so many signals coming in from people everywhere and from our atmosphere that you really become quite overwhelmed. You really do. So we need something that's going to anchor us in ourselves, into our own being, if you like. Really ground you. Yeah. And for me, that was meditation, daily meditation, and breathing. So that really helps, because breathing is like an anchor that we can really use, because it's the one thing we're always taking with us. I really got to a point where I wasn't coping with anxiety. So the funny thing is, I had this little torn out piece of paper from The Age, I remember that, and it was on meditation. And I thought, what is this piece of paper? I don't remember ever tearing it out of the paper at all. And I kept throwing this piece of paper away, I thought, and it would start appearing again. And in the end, when I wasn't coping, I thought maybe this is a sign that I should learn meditation. So I went and I learnt meditation. So from then on, I meditated twice a day, every day. And what that did It enabled me to have that sense of knowing what was my feelings in my balance and what was someone else's. So I found that once I really recognised what was going on and understood the energies, it worked for me in my life, because when I was seeing people and helping people with anxiety or overwhelm or stress or whatever it might have been, I could feel their feelings and know where they were sitting and ask all the right questions to bring up their emotional state. So it's really actually worked for me. So there's a lot of very positive points about being a sensitive. It's when it takes us over and we don't know how to use it and it overwhelms us that it becomes a problem. It's very uncomfortable, but it really has a gift to it as well.
What advice would you like our viewers to take away?
There's so many things I could say. I think one of the important things that I will say, the first thing I would advise anybody to do is to learn to breathe correctly. Because when we're in overwhelm, the breath closes down. What I mean by that is you start to hold your breath a bit, it becomes more shallow and the body contracts in a bit more and the overwhelm takes you over. So if you could hold your balance by anchoring into your breath, even anyone listening now, if you just put your attention on your breathing and just see what it's doing, then deepen it. Just bit by bit, just deepen your breath. Just take it that little bit deeper, a bit rounder, a bit softer, a bit fuller. And that, if you do that even for about a couple of minutes, even 5 minutes, you will start to feel a calmness coming through you and your energy expands out a bit, your life force, your aura, and you feel in your body much more grounded and much more centered in yourself. So you can actually go out into the world and you feel a lot better about who you are. So it really does work with both parts of the brain, left and right hemispheres of the brain, the nervous system. It balances our energy. And that's proven now scientifically. But my breath, that is one thing that I have used up the whole journey to actually hold me balanced. It's a wonderful thing. And as I started to say before, we've always got it with us. You can't leave home without it. So we don't have to, where did I put my breathing? It's there. It's there with us the whole time. So it's a wonderful gift we've been given by life, and it certainly helps with overwhelm.
Thank you, Christine.
My pleasure, Megan.
If you'd like to know more about understanding overwhelm and sensitivity and Christine Hart-Savage, go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll have another interesting guest with another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, the integrative health and wellness expert, Dr Zara Celik, is talking about mindfulness. Welcome back. And next we have Dr Zara Celik, our integrative health and wellness expert. And she's back with us today to talk about mindfulness. So Dr Zara, mindfulness is a huge topic.
Huge one at the moment globally, right? It's like a trending word, like, so we had the self-care, which I talked about, and now mindful is another one, buzzing one, which I love to touch on to them, bring some, put my input into it. And we all have different perceptions and different reflective awareness about mindfulness. So I love to educate our audience and give my perspective on that. So it's overly used, as we all know, but not many people actually know what it exactly means. In fact, I was just talking to one of the young university students, and she knew I was doing a podcast with somebody else, and then she asked me how it went, and it somehow led to this mindfulness. So I was so intrigued to find out really her perspective and what it meant for her in terms of being mindful. And I sort of got to understand and see what universities were teaching and where the students were at. So I thought, it would be great to sort of bring a bit of light onto this topic. So mindfulness is when the mind is completely balanced. If you think of like an algebra maths equation going back to our early high school, sort of late primary school years, where this one side of the equation equals to the other side of the equation. And that's exactly is what mindfulness is in the mind. So we have two minds. That we have the immanent mind, and then we have the transcendent mind. Immanent mind is the amygdala. Transcendent mind is the prefrontal cortex. So I know a bit of neuroscience there. That's okay, but I'm going to explain it more. So when we are in amygdala, we are in fight, flight, freeze. So when we are self-judging, self-critical, or judging other people, or we are living in the trauma, or we have a lot of neuroassociation pattern, we relate to things our past or event took place, we stay at the immanent mind, and we are going to be at fight, flight, freeze. So then that makes the mind unbalanced, because we are spending a lot of time in the amygdala, which is the immanent mind. But I like people to be also aware of and become objective and authentic by becoming aware of the transcendent mind, which is the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive center of the brain. At that brain, when we are at prefrontal cortex, when we are objective, we become authentic, we become creative. So when we are critical, or we have body dysmorphic things, which we talked about as well previously, we spend more time focusing on what is not right, rather than seeing objectively what it is there for us, and it is happening for us, not to us. When we become aware of the other side of the equation, we go into that transcendent mind. We become objective. We have reflective awareness. So we are not self-critical. We are seeing things as they are. We're not resenting others. We are not infatuated with other people. We're not admiring them and putting them up here, because we're becoming reflective, and we're aware of the things that we see in them is also in us. So that will make us more objective, and we have the reflective awareness. I hope I'm not confusing here. I know I'm talking neuroscience, I've got a lot of things going on, but I'm going to explain it more.
So is this with things like, we talked earlier about overthinking, how that can take over?
Correct. So even overthinking, when we're overthinking, overjudging, criticizing, I'm not good enough, I'm not fit enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not rich enough, I don't have the education, the whole, having the fear, the mind becomes imbalanced. So you're not mindful, you're half mindful, because you're focusing on one side of things and you're not seeing the other things, or you're focusing on one side of you and you're not aware of the other side of you. You're with me there. So that creates the imbalance. Or when we're resenting people, we see all the bad things that they did and how it disadvantaged us, right? But we don't get to see how that person also served us. The minute we see the other side of how that person served us, in the case of resentment, that makes us mindful. In the case of infatuation, when you're admiring somebody, for example, oh, they're so beautiful, they're so fit, they're gorgeous, we have this fantasy, right? That makes us one-sided, so that's half mindful. But the minute we also see it in our form, hey, I've also been fit, I'm also fit in this form, I'm intelligent also, or I'm also wealthy, and I've actually displayed and demonstrated in these sort of situations, and I see it, it's in me, it's part of me, that makes you again mindful. So the equation is balanced. And that's why I say think of it as a mathematical model, bit of like an algebra. This side of the equation equals this side of the equation. So when you are aware of only one side of events, you are half mindful. But when you're aware of both sides, you are mindful completely. And that's the thing that actually, when I talk to people, they meditate, try to be mindful, and it's overly used, right? We try to become mindful, and we're meditating, and we're investing in ourselves, and it's nice bit of cultural movement globally. People are trying to be mindful, have mindful eating, mindful thinking, mindful language. But if you're not mindful of what's happening within you, then you're not going to be fully mindful. You're half mindful.
So it's like that confusion then that takes over when the confusion, we're not balanced in the mind.
Yeah, so when you're confused, you're not balanced in the mind. So when you're fully aware and you've got reflective awareness and you become objective, then you're authentic yourself. You see, whatever is in other people is actually in you. There's nothing missing, and there's that equity and balance and equanimity within you. Then you are fully mindful, and the biochemistry of the mind is balanced. Because the minute that you're actually critical, the biochemistry shifts, the biochemistry of the mind shifts, the biochemistry of the brain shifts, the biochemistry of the body shifts. But when we are mindful, there's a balance, and that balance within is called equanimity. That's what, homeostasis basically.
What would be your top hint for our viewers, something they can take away today for themselves to?
So become aware of the language that you're using and see if you are present with yourself. But if you're even struggling with that, see what your mind is doing. Are you focusing only one thing? Are you, for example, judging or criticizing yourself about maybe an event happened during the day? If you are, catch yourself, stop and pause and see what it is actually there and find the opposite of it. So for example, if you're resenting somebody, say, well, okay, what am I resenting them? What am I exactly resenting them for? And then see the benefit of that inaction, or the trait that you're resenting the individual for, and see how that is also serving you, the benefit of that to you. So then you balance that out. If it is an infatuation, you admire somebody, find it in your own form. Then once you find that, that's also balance. If you're judging somebody else, same thing applies. What are you exactly judging them for? How is it a disadvantage to you when you're judging them? Not just the advantage. So then you balance it there too. So try to find balance, but become aware of your language pattern and the language and the words that you use, and see if you can get on to asking yourself the questions to balance the mind.
Well, thank you very much for that. And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and mindfulness, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now for break. We'll see you after the break.
Stay tuned. After the break, animal communicator and therapist Carolyn Pope is talking about digital technology and animal therapy. Hello and welcome back. Today in the studio we have Carolyn Pope, an animal communicator and therapist, and today's topic is digital technology and animal health. Hello Carolyn and welcome.
Thank you, it's good to be back.
Can you please explain to us how today's digital technology helps with animal health?
Hugely. I use a software program that maps over 150 points on the body field. So you can call it the body field, you can call it the aura, energy field. People have been used to that concept for quite a while. But in this case, Peter Fraser mapped the body field, and I'm able to scan an animal and know exactly what areas of the body field need correction. And of course, no therapist is 100% on their game every day. So it backs me up really nicely. Think of it like cheat notes on the computer game. I can see exactly what's going on, if I'm missing something, extra areas for me to concentrate on, those sorts of things. It's absolutely invaluable, and I now scan every animal I work with.
And how do you apply this technology?
I've got a little handheld bioenergetic device, and it emits frequencies. When you get to quantum, everything is frequency. So if something's not working properly, it's simply resonating at the wrong frequency. So this will then unblock that particular frequency and the corresponding meridian. So for example, if I'm treating a lumbar spine, it'll be the frequency of lumbar spine plus the lung meridian and the bladder meridian. If I'm working on the thoracic spine, it will be the bladder meridian and the gallbladder meridian. It will be unblocking as well as that particular frequency. And of course, that's why the acupuncturists used to put needles in. When you unblock the energy and get the energy flowing, that's good health and less pain. It's absolutely fascinating. And once I've scanned an animal, which takes 3 seconds, so it's great for cats, I can work on an animal without actually touching it, just using this handheld device. And particularly with cats or an animal that's really traumatized, when we had the bushfires, we were able to do a lot and help a lot. And for wildlife, birds, these sorts of things, it's just amazing technology, and it really helps in a non-invasive way. And the less stressed the animal is and the less pain the animal's in, obviously the quicker they're going to heal. I started with one of my own cats. It's always your own animals you do first. She was having painkilling injections every second day. You couldn't pick her up. And we pretty much thought it was the end of the road, scanned her, and within an hour, she hadn't been able to use the litter. She was only able to defecate every third or fourth day. It was just a disaster. And because she was so sore, within an hour, she'd use the litter. She was 100% until the day we euthanized her. She never needed another painkiller. That got my attention instantaneously. And then later down the track, one of my own animals, my Anatolian, for those that don't know, they're about 60, 65 kilo. They're a livestock guardian. He was 4. We now know he had a brain tumour. We didn't at the time, but he'd become really dangerous to the point that I'd actually separated the cats out of the room because I was so worried he was going to kill them. And his euthanasia had been scheduled the next day. I picked up my little handheld device because desperate people do desperate things. There were 5 brain settings on it. I used it. He lay down. He went to sleep, which he hadn't been able to do, got up and started to play for the first time in 6 months. Right, okay, cancelled the euthanasia. At first, it was every second day. I used the machine, he was fine. Ultimately, as the disease progressed, it got down to every 3 hours, day and night. And that gave me nearly 4 months that I hadn't realised how many favours I could pull, both nationally and internationally. But there are some things you can't fix, and a brain tumour is one of them. But it gave me 4 months of quality for both of us before we had to make that decision. And that was just huge. He was safe around me. He was pain-free. Couldn't ask for more. You can't save everything, but you can give them quality while you have them.
And does it cover all sorts of ailments?
Absolutely. It maps the brain, with people, the German new medicine of the brain, the emotions, it does the meridians, how much energy the body is or isn't pulling in. It maps the immune system. It's fascinating stuff.
And what advice can you give our animal lovers out there in terms of the health of their animals?
When you see something or you think they're not quite right, that's when you want to treat something. You don't want to wait. You think of an animal, oh, they're a bit flat and it's been more than 24 hours. That's when you want to get onto it, not waiting till the dog actually growls at the child or whatever because they've been in pain for 2 weeks. Or if they miss more than one meal. Again, why? Being proactive rather than reactive makes a huge, huge difference in the quality and also how quickly. The quicker you pick up something, the quicker the animal's going to heal. Same with us. So getting on top of it early rather than dragging it out, oh, but I can't get there for 3 weeks or whatever, makes such a difference to the quality of the animal's life.
Oh, thank you so much. That's great advice. If you want to learn more about Carolyn Pope and digital technology for animal health, go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. That is our show for today. Please join us next week for some more great guests and fascinating topics. If you'd like to know more about our show, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.